Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I'm a boomer. I think I'm a zoomer. I think I'm a doomer. Damn, I'm Montezuma. Okay. EGWHITE coming with the heat.
I stay fooling with my bot, my tunes will make your speakers hot. Dance floor, hopscotch, baby, do the pop and lock.
Welcome to the Grillcast, the only podcast in the world dedicated to radical centrism. I am your host, Orion. Micah is not joining us today. Instead, we have Mason returning,
What's up?
and we have another guest. What would you like to go by, my friend?
Jake.
All right, Jake. It's good to have you in, buddy. We have a hell of a show for you. We have an announcement to start off with. The Grillcast.com is live. That's right. We have our very own big boy website.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's good stuff. We got our videos. That's about it. And links to donate to our PayPal, to my Bitcoin wallet, Dogecoin wallet. You got those meme coins? Drop them on me, bud. You know, I could use money. I'm a centrist. I need money.
Drop them now before they're worthless. You might as well just give them away.
You might as well give them away because, you know, they're probably going to fall anyways. It's a bad investment. So give them to me and I'll invest them for you.
That's right.
So I had a little bit of personal drama with a mod of the centrist subreddit, r/centrist. I consider myself a reasonable person, and sometimes I go to people and I ask them for things. Small things, you know, small little favors that I don't think cross any sort of boundaries. All I ask this guy is for a real simple favor. I say, hey there, I run a podcast called The Grillcast, the only podcast in the world dedicated to radical centrism. I was hoping we could land a spot on the sidebar. Here's our YouTube channel for your consideration. Alright, very, very polite message. I just want to get my podcast on the sidebar with the other centrist podcast list, right?
Incredibly. It was really professional, honestly. I applaud you there.
He replies, the eternal Janny. I don't know why every fucking moderator is like this. It doesn't matter what the group is. It doesn't matter what their political leaning is. Every Janny is the fucking same. They're all such assholes.
Perpetually online. They literally do it for free. Their hobby is playing hallway monitor, dude.
He says, hard pass, filled with straw men, edgelord comedy, bad faith arguments, and oversimplifications. The worst kind of political dialogue. Congrats, though. Your YouTube channel now has 3 more views. And then he mutes me from responding to him for 3 days.
Wait, did he actually listen to a couple of full episodes?
Yeah, apparently he listened to 3 episodes, and then he's like, look, I find this somewhat shallow and pedantic.
So he listened to like fucking 3 hours of content and then was like, yeah, this is awful. Why would you do that? I'd listen to about 5 minutes and be like, God, I hate your fucking voice, and leave it at that.
I don't know. If you're going to listen to 3 episodes, obviously there's something there. But he comes at me with the straw men. What a fucking asshole. Like, there's straw men on here. You know what? I bet he's a Nazi. Because honestly, everybody who acts like him is a Nazi.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know.
Bad faith arguments? No. Every argument I put forth on this show has been in good faith. You know, it's been something that means a lot to me and is deep.
I really think the entire concept of a bad faith argument is something that's used by total mental midgets. Like, just because I don't believe in what I'm arguing doesn't mean it's not valid. Not that everything I've said on the show I 100% believe, but even if I didn't mean it, that doesn't mean my ideas aren't valid. In fact, it's the hallmark of, like, an ascended mind where you can formulate arguments from another, an opinion you don't necessarily support.
Yeah.
You're misrepresenting what bad faith would mean.
No, you're saying that's
a bad faith argument, Jake. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is that you should be able to, like, as a centrist, bad faith arguments shouldn't exist. You know,
it totally can. Bad faith versus good faith is a legal term. So first, tell me because Mason used different language there. He talked about bad faith and then said that a bad faith argument is still valid, but those are different ideas.
How so?
What are you talking about? In common law, there is a long history where a central premise, whether it's tort law, contract law, whatever, of a premise known as good faith, which is just that the exact concept you're describing, which is that you'll express your views in a way that's accurate and attempts to essentially seek resolution where possible. And so you can present arguments that you disagree with. And so the whole notion of good faith does not mean necessarily that you have to only say what you believe, but it would be that essentially you interpret those. I mean, the idea of good faith very much applies to the notion of presenting a position that you disagree with. In fact, that's when it can be most powerfully applied, is that if you present a position that you personally disagree with, but you present the strongest case for that position that you can, then that is the definition of arguing in good faith.
Are you the mod I was arguing with, Jake?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay.
That flew over my head, I'm gonna be honest.
But that just sounds like a straw man argument with more words.
Oh my god.
An oversimplification, if you ask me.
So now he's just being redundant, if I understand this correctly, which is probably not true. But
I just wanted to vent a little bit about this guy because he's a real fucking asshole.
we need our own centrist. Well, we have our own centrist website now. That's a lot cooler than a subreddit. We even have a subreddit, I think. Yeah, we have a subreddit.
I'm also the mod of the Radical Centrist subreddit.
That's the difference too, is he's a lame centrist. Like, when you say you're like a normal centrist, that's what I see as like they are the like bad faith straw man centrist. Like, I bet he's literally just like, I don't have an opinion on anything. Like, we're radical centrists. We have wild opinions on wild things. Like, I don't know. I feel like his entire political like idea there is basically bad faith. I don't know.
Okay, I guess I would say that my problem with what he said wasn't that he was entirely accurate with the straw man, edgelord comedy, bad faith arguments, and oversimplifications, but that he called it the worst kind of political dialogue. I mean, it's not the worst kind of political dialogue. I'd rather deal with people like that than deal with people who earnestly believe in the crazy shit they say 100% of the time, because you're not making any headway with those people.
That's definitely
You're
true.
not going to change their mind on fucking anything ever.
Yeah, I would say that, our politics, like our conservative, if we're seeing your Reddit, are probably like the worst kinds of political discourse where it's like just jerking each other off. Like, yes, like they're the bad guys, they're going to jail. Like, oh, they're terrorists. Like, I don't, like that's probably about as bad as it gets. Second worst is like actual political discourse, like in like the Senate and stuff, where they just like all these boomers sit around and talk. And I don't know. It's like, have you ever watched like any of these things in the Senate? It's so boring. There's no flair. That's probably second worst for me. We're somewhere around like third or fourth. We're not that bad.
Well, I think that's a good transition away from bitching about Reddit and into some real life politics, some real life boomers doing shitty politics. Now, Biden, he's gotten into some heat with Putin lately. Him and Putin, they're squaring up. They don't like each other. I have a little bit of a timeline of events that's happened that I made. So we're gonna start off with how this fight began. It begins with Biden in an ABC interview. Let's watch this clip.
Putin authorized operations during the election to denigrate you, support President Trump, undermine our elections, divide our society. What price must he pay?
He will pay a price. We had a long talk, he and I. I know him relatively well. And the conversation started off, I said, I know you and you know me. If I establish this occurred, then be prepared.
You said he doesn't have a soul.
I did say that to him, yes. And his response was, we understand one another.
Oh my god.
The beef begins.
Yeah, that was some real
Shots fired.
shade. Biden just threw some shade there, bro.
I think he has a soul. I just think he has like the soul of a shark or like
Yeah.
some kind of like reptile, not in like a reptilian fashion, but like literally like a crocodile or something. Like Putin's like a predator,
Yeah,
not like
has,
in the
blue
sexual
blood.
way, but like a natural like predator in the environment. Like he kills shit. He's scary.
Jake, do you have any thoughts about Biden burning Putin in a pretty based way too? Just telling the guy, "Hey man, hey Jack, listen, you don't got no soul. If you don't vote for Biden, you don't got no soul."
So I think the first thing you would want to look at anytime you're looking at that sort of political relationship is the whole history. Because don't forget, Putin and Biden did not. That's the very thing that Biden says, is that they did not get to know each other after Biden was president. Biden served, I think, on the National Defense Council when he was in the Senate, and that was in the 90s. And then he was the vice president. So it's not as if he's not familiar with world leaders.
Yeah, he knows the guy. That's why he knows he has no soul. And that's why he feels comfortable. Like, if you just meet somebody, you're not going to be like, hey, what's up, man? You don't have a soul, because that's weird. But if you know someone for a while, you might pull them to the side and be like, bro, what the fuck is up with you? What's going on, man? What is this?
Well, I mean, to me, the main takeaway of Putin is the most serious idea is just that he's a modern dictator, right? Like, you think of countries that we really disagree with in terms of our value systems. It's like when we had wars going on in the Middle East, we were all about the Middle East, right? It was all about Saddam Hussein. It was about Afghanistan and the Taliban.
Yeah, they were
It was
based.
about Iran.
Yeah, they were based too.
I'm pretty sure when the Soviets still existed, it was all about the Soviets. And so
They could be pretty based. They're
Russia
50-50.
Russia under Putin is just a terrible place. I mean, what I think about.
No, I've seen so many dash cam videos of
Oh my
Russia.
gosh.
It looks pretty lit, bro.
They do. It looks like they have a lot of fun. I will say that. There's a lot of like good drinking. They have really good bar fight videos. I watch a lot of
So,
those.
what got the internet all upset about Russia, right, was the whole political dissident thing. So, if you recall, I mean, gosh, this would have been 7, 8 years ago. There was at some point there was a time where there was all these people who were gathering and protesting Putin, right? It was the middle of an election season, and everyone was saying, okay, well, these counties with 30,000 people have submitted 90,000 votes for Putin, right? Something like that, you know? Like, okay, that doesn't
Like,
make
are we
sense.
talking about
Well,
Biden's election
wait.
or Putin's?
I'm pretty sure bears have a vote, and I don't think they're counted on census.
True, in fact. So, yeah, I mean, there's some element of the sort of anti authoritarian internet that likes to meme and say that Putin's a badass and he has calendars where he's shirtless and is like grabbing
when he's
fish
riding
out
the
of
horse.
water. Yeah,
Dude,
but
the
he's
guy is
also,
pretty. He's kind of a badass,
I feel like I have to
bro.
interject here. Putin absolutely is a badass. That doesn't mean he's not an awful person, but he's a former KGB agent, like literally was like a fucking like secret agent assassin that took over his like nation and is now like he's definitely badass. He's still, a dickhead, and I don't agree. Like obviously he's like a shitty person, but a lot of badasses are. But like he's definitely like a
all are.
badass. Like he got like yeah. I mean
all
like he
right, but he's hardly a hero character, though. You know, like Putin is never going to be a hero character. So,
I don't root for hero characters.
all right, but
Well, we have a lot more video to go over here, so we're gonna go on. Biden speaks a little bit more about Putin. He wasn't quite done. That was just his first slug.
So you know Vladimir Putin. You think he's a killer?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So what price must he pay?
The price he's going to pay, well, you'll see shortly. I'm not going to. There's, by the
Word
way,
salad.
we ought to be able that trite expression, walk and chew gum at the same time. There are places where it's in our mutual interest to work together. That's why I renewed the START agreement with him. That occurred while he's doing this, but that's overwhelming in the interest of humanity that we diminish the prospect of a nuclear exchange.
So there he goes, calling Putin just a killer, bro.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
that's objectively true. That's a little less weighty to me than his like no soul thing. Like we all know Putin's a killer. I mean, like that's what Putin is. He's
yeah, I mean, he caused a place in Britain to be a hazmat site for how many years?
I think Wuhan, China did that actually.
I thought.
no, wait. What was that whole thing?
I'm pretty
so
sure that was Russia, dude.
He poisoned that. He
Oh,
poisoned.
I was thinking the whole world, just not the UK. My bad.
He poisoned that one chick, or I think it was a chick. She was a defector from
A
Russia.
diplomat or something. Yeah,
diplomat.
I don't know.
But I remember he did it in like the most brazen, ridiculous. You said they
It was,
made it a
it's
hazmat
the
site.
most danger. It's the most deadly chemical that exists.
Damn.
And yeah. And so enough of it was that it was like they had to lock down the park where this person went before they died. They had like the house itself had to be decontaminated. Like, oh my god, yeah.
That
Jesus
sounds
Christ.
like a mess. Putin, You stinker.
Jesus Christ.
Now,
That
Putin.
is.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that is kind of badass though. Like he could have used any chemical.
Yeah, to be fair, like poisoning's kind of a bitch way to kill someone. Like I would have had more respect if he flew over there, punched this diplomat in the head, and then
Yeah,
just
that-
like
Well,
you
so
know.
they have hired assassins in Georgia. Like in Georgia and Ukraine, they just hired assassins.
Oh, I think it was the president of Algeria who actually made Putin look like a bitch. So Putin had like a honeypot where I think it was the president of Algeria. It might have been somewhere else. Basically, Putin had all of these like Russian hookers who were actually like Secret Service or something just bang the shit out of this president on the plane. And then he was like, ha, we'll blackmail you and release this video. And I think it was the president of Argentina. I'm not sure, but he came out and like was like, yes, please release the video of me banging all these gorgeous Russian girls. Do it, Putin. And like publicly came out and said he was getting blackmailed. It was like, show the video. I've always thought that was pretty funny.
Dude, who just like starts an OnlyFans with these videos. That'd be profitable. That'd probably bring in more GDP than whatever his shithole country already brings in. Like,
yeah, it was something. That guy might be more of a badass than Putin on the world weird badass list, but yeah.
well, Putin.
We should learn what country that is, so we can
God.
establish whether or not it is a quote unquote shithole country. Because that's straight out.
Oh
of
wait, is it America?
It might be.
Was it America or not, Mason?
It was not America.
Okay, then it's a shithole country, and we can move on. We have Putin not being so happy about this. He does not like that he's been put in this situation, called out on TV by the president of the United States, and he fires back a little bit.
Семья приехала, да? Семья приехала ваша?
Дочка здесь живет.
Мы действительно, как он сказал, мы с ним лично знакомы. И что бы я ему ответил? Я бы сказал ему, будьте здоровы. Я желаю ему здоровья. Говорю это без иронии, без шуток.
Without any, I say that on the show all the time, right? Do you know what that means? I say that with no irony or joke.
Yeah.
I wish Micah had a good night not being on the show and doing whatever he's doing instead. I say that with no irony or joke. See what I mean?
Sounds like you and Putin might be being a bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is when you say it straight face, you're like, no irony, no joke. It's meant to confuse and befuddle. Me and Putin, we're alike in that we're trained in the art of psychological warfare.
I almost didn't pick it up.
The very fact of asserting that it's not ironic is how you know that it is ironic.
I mean, is Putin seriously, like, think about the implication of that. Is he like, yep, I'm gonna fucking fly to America and kill you myself?
No, I think he just hopes Biden dies of cancer.
Right? Like, you don't threaten the United States president, dude. You just don't. That's why it's so, like, unthreatening.
Yeah.
Seriously, think about it. It's like, okay, he's like joking about wishing the US president health, but this isn't some fucking chump politician from some country or some county in Russia. Like, this isn't a person who he can legitimately threaten. So his threat has no credibility.
How is
the
that a
joke
threat,
falls
though?
flat. The joke has no legitimate, like, ironic counterpart because he doesn't get to threaten the president of the United States.
No, and I think that's a good thing, a point. I think Russia's really like overstated. Like, they're threatening because they put a lot of they're a big country. They put a lot of their money into their military. They also have like good tech. But like realistically, they have the same GDP as Brazil. He's not on the same level.
We already crushed those red bastards once. I ain't worried about them a second time. Well, anyway, Putin continues here. So basically what he's doing here is it's the biggest no you of all time. This is in response to his, are you a killer? Are you a killer?
Мы всегда там видим себя. Потому что всегда перекладываем на другого человека то, чем мы сами дышим.
What if
Чем мы являемся,
Putin
по сути.
is projecting that other people
И вот, вы знаете, я вспоминаю,
themselves,
в детстве
right?
мы во дворе, когда спорили друг
We
с
used to
другом,
say,
мы говорили
no
так,
you.
Oh my
кто как
god.
обзывается, тот так и называется. И это не случайно, это не просто детская поговорочка и шутка.
It has deep psychological.
Смысл
I mean, that's got to be a
очень глубокий.
mistranslation. Like that can't be the actual like.
No, I'm not 100% confident in the translations on here, but I think I think the overall.
I mean, I pulled it off of RT, so.
I mean,
I'm saying that there's probably meaning there that we're not fully getting, because it wouldn't be. I wouldn't guess that he'd say so simple as it has deep psychological meaning. Like
I'm
that
sure,
is like
Yeah.
so serious a phrase that it sounds sort of laughable, right?
Yeah, it's
It
too.
sounds kind of badass, bro. Like,
mean,
he sounds like an anime fucking villain right now. Like, it has deep psychological meaning.
It sounds like an anime villain because anime is translated from Japanese and often
Wait a
badly.
second. Yeah, that's also a good point. He sounds like other translated people I've heard before.
Yeah, but I think he has a point here. I mean, like I really do think. I mean, like Biden has undoubtedly, made decisions that have killed people. Like he's definitely. I mean, especially now he's the president. He orders drone strikes. And
He's personally killed over 50,000 people from COVID since he took office. Did you know that?
That's true. So I don't know. I mean, like the thing about this too is like we have like a very like morally superior sense in America, and that gets like when we talk about these like oh, you're a dictator, but like realistically, like America holds a global hegemony, and we kind of hold it with an iron fist. I mean, we do it by projecting like military power and then economic power, which when we flex sanctions, poor people die. Like we're not like necessarily the good guys, and I think by like Putin has a pretty like solid point in like what he's saying. Like yeah, I mean, when you're talking about a geopolitical like worldwide conflict, like everybody's got their hands dirty. So
no one thinks that America is morally perfect.
Wrong.
No one thinks that America has much global credibility as a moral arbiter.
Super wrong. We have to make difficult decisions. That's what you have to do when you're a parent. These bratty fucking countries around the world, they're all throwing fucking tantrums all the time. Like, where? You're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. Why have you been in Iraq for 20 years? Where? And it's like, shut the fuck up and go in the goddamn corner. You don't know what you're talking about. You shit baby.
I'm losing this metaphor. I'm
not necessarily sure that Russia is actually worse morally than America.
In a lot of ways, I mean, it sort of depends. I mean, think about it. The history of the CIA in Latin America and South America.
Yeah, where we helped prop up their local economy through the coca trade.
Oh my gosh. So, although one of the first idea of international politics is that there's no meaningful moral code.
No.
Right? There's no moral code for international politics. So anything
Yeah, there
goes.
is. It's called the Constitution, buddy.
But typically, in the modern day, I mean, the U.S. typically doesn't assassinate foreign... I believe the U.S. doesn't assassinate political dissidents in foreign soil. And I don't...
Okay, I mean, we kind of do. We just killed that guy in Iran, and then also, like, I 100% think the government kills all sorts of political dissidents. Like
Jeffrey Epstein has left the chat.
I mean, there's stuff like that. There's also like, I mean, like they definitely killed Malcolm X. I'm pretty fucking sure they killed MLK. There's a book on that written by one of MLK's friends. It's a pretty interesting read. I think we kill a lot of people. I think we're just better about not...
They tried to kill George Zimmerman.
How can I ever prove that that's not true?
I mean, you can't. And that's how it is. And
so that's a bullshit claim, and it's total hoax. That's a bullshit claim.
The absence of evidence does not imply the absence of evidence.
Okay, so tell me how we would prove that claim wrong. That the U.S. government has not killed people.
I mean, that's a much greater issue where the institutions that you would use to either prove that right or wrong are compromised institutions. Like, I mean, like you can watch videos from like the 70s where like the CIA, like former CIA agents are talking about like different like major news anchors that were like what the CIA does is they feed stories to reporters. And like reporters just take them, and then at a certain point they kind of become assets. Like I don't know, man. Like the media is compromised. Like everything's compromised.
You sound fucking insane right now. I'll tell you that.
That's what they've made you think. That's what they've made you think, Jake. That's what they've made you think. I mean, like, we have, like, there's so much, like, look into, like, Project Mockingbird and shit. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt that our intelligence communities, like, influence our media. And then, like, if you really want to get insane with it, the big difference between, like, state and corporate power is that, like, with the government that I know from, like, what we do in Latin America, what we do in the Middle East, the way we lie to people, I have zero doubt that once Facebook got big, some boys in black showed up to Mark Zuckerberg's office and were like, hey, you want to see something? This is your body double. Do you know, if you don't, like, do what we want, here's what a CIA black site is. This is where you'll disappear forever. I mean, like obviously there's no proof of this.
I've never thought of that ever happening in my entire life, and I consider myself a very reasonable person.
But why wouldn't that happen? I mean, why wouldn't they control these institutions? They have the ability to do
the burden of proof is so on you. You're making claims.
But I'm making claims.
If you're making a claim that seems fucking absurd on face value, like, you have the burden of proof.
Well,
the burden of proof is a white supremacist concept.
My entire argument here is that you can't, like, their entire purpose is to make it so that you could not find proof in the first place. That's what an intelligence agency does. That's what like, when you assassinate someone, except for in some circumstances, the goal is for people not to know you did it. And, like, asking for the burden of proof when you're talking about things like the CIA and shit like that, particularly in the last, like, 40 years. Because
so what are you trying to prove? Because
I totally makes a bunch of documents of, like, who they assassinate and then, like, leaves them in a briefcase, like, oh no, I accidentally
in case we forget who we killed.
I switched my CIA briefcase with a similar looking briefcase at the coffee shop, and now all the assassinations have gone public.
You can look at stuff like, look at Snowden. Like, they were sure, that got released, but they developed the NSA for years with, like, thousands of employees in on this massive, like,
so are you trying to instill in me a fear of the deep state?
I'm the intelligence agencies more particularly.
Right? Like, yeah. Okay, J. Edgar Hoover did some shady shit. Yeah, we know.
I'm just saying that shady shit is still going on, and our perceptions are colored by media companies that have historically been proven to be, like, have CIA assets in their, like, higher levels, and most likely that's only gotten worse. I mean, they're not telling us this stuff. They just tell us, like, 30 years later. They're like, oh yeah, there's
How much are you willing to base your life and, like, anything of meaning on these ideas?
Nothing. It's politics. It's literally meaningless. It's a hobby.
Yeah, these are the definition of conspiracy theories, dude. Like,
sure, but conspiracy theories are, I mean, at a certain point you should really question what the hell is going on when you're dealing with, like, such a monumental global power as
what's wrong with conspiracy theories?
Because there probably wasn't a fucking government plot to blow up the Twin Towers so that we could get oil from the Middle East.
Wait,
dude, have you heard the Immortal Technique song?
Wait, I don't think we could talk about 9/11 on here. I feel like we get deplatformed for that.
What?
Bush knocked down the. Have you heard the Immortal Technique song? I have a primary source for my claim.
All right.
No, I mean,
I'll send you it after the show, and then you'll come back on with your tails between your legs and say, I'm sorry, Bin Laden, in fact, did not blow up the projects. It was you.
Same.
I don't know, man. Like, I was telling you about, I mean, I was following Epstein for about a decade before he went to jail.
I heard that Katrina was actually an enormous fan that was stationed on the northern coast of Cuba.
Like, there's obviously a difference between
government.
rational conspiracy theories and irrational conspiracy theories. But if you don't
rational ones like QAnon,
that's pretty impossible.
No, QAnon is actually
impossible. Oh,
it's not.
And Pizzagate versus irrational ones like CIA messing around in, South American countries.
Can we talk about scientific? Can we talk about science for a second here? So the scientific.
No, we can't. We need to move on. We need to move on from this. I have more videos, and this is an explicitly anti-science podcast, so we will not be delving into any science.
That is definitely true. I actually think there's huge problems with applying the scientific method to politics, but that is like a whole other issue. And yeah,
don't antagonize this. No. Objectivity doesn't exist. Nothing exists other than this video that I'm about to play of Putin. So basically what he's doing here to set it up God, I'm all fucking heated up
FaceTime.
now
He's like,
about
yo,
science.
it's time for FaceTime.
Yeah, he wants a
But
debate.
I'm gonna use Russian FaceTime.
What do you guys think about that coat? I feel like it's actually like a sick coat, but I also feel like it kind of falls like, you know,
Lame.
feminine coat
Well,
trends in America.
No way, dude. Fur collar, that's what's up.
I
My,
mean,
my girlfriend has a coat like this.
yeah,
The
I feel like
material
fur
is all
collars.
wrong, though. It's too shiny.
I feel like fur collars are very feminine in America, but I feel like in Russia, when you have a fur collar, that's kind of like
No, dude.
Bear
Fur
riding
collars are
badass?
just out of style right now, but they're hot.
We're gonna continue this video.
And he shouldn't be wearing a zip-up turtleneck. He should just have a turtleneck on.
наши дискуссии, но при условии,
It's not really a turtleneck,
что мы
it's
это
just a
сделаем
jacket.
фактически в прямом эфире, что называется, онлайн. Но без всяких
What if they're in
задержек,
different
проблем,
time zones?
вот, в открытой прямой дискуссии, мне представляется, что это было бы интересно и для народа
I think it would be
России,
very
и для,
interesting for everyone.
народа Соединенных Штатов, и
I
для
agree.
многих других стран, имея в виду, что на нас, как на самых крупных ядерных державах, лежит особая ответственность за стратегическую
What a
безопасность.
big dick move, bro. He's just like, yeah, we'll
debate
live
me,
stream
bro.
it. Debate.
Yeah.
I think that he's trying to become a live streamer. He's trying to become like a
He's
Twitch
starting
streamer.
his
To,
streaming career.
He literally wants to be
True.
us.
yeah, Putin.
Oh
Putin,
my
if you're
God.
listening to this, I don't know any Russian, but have someone translate this for you. You were invited onto our show. You know, I've always admired you from afar. You're such a cool guy, and we'd love to have you on the show to, you know, really let us know how things are really going down.
Yeah, Putin definitely has an outstanding invite to the podcast. I'd say Joe Biden does too. You know, it's
Yeah.
a pretty exclusive space, but we could make space for them.
I would be down to host this debate as
Yeah.
an impartial, radical centrist moderator.
Yeah, I mean, oh, it would be so great if they actually did this. Like, the thing is,
Why?
what do you mean why? Because
What?
I want to watch Putin
Jake,
debate
what are you
Biden.
talking about?
What do you mean? I mean, even in the sense of like legitimately interesting political discourse, a debate between Biden and Putin is actually interesting.
What's
I mean,
the
like,
point of them debating? Like, what would they be arguing about? Like, what would they talk about? What's on the agenda?
He just
whether
said,
whether Putin has a soul, whether Biden or Putin kills more people, and I want to see the
my
argument
God.
shift from denying it into a bragging contest, and then
Biden's health too. I wished you well. Are you doing well? Yes.
yeah,
or no?
yeah.
You
What does
look
that even
low energy.
mean?
You look kind of low energy, comrade.
Putin speaks English, doesn't he?
Yeah, he speaks a bit. Okay, is it just me, or does it seem like he hasn't aged in like 20 years?
He
Like, he's,
looks
like,
he looks
always
a little
looked like
balder on the top, but yeah, in general, he's doing pretty good. I mean, he's healthy. Like, you know, he issued that karate video like 2 years ago where it was like doing jujitsu in a dojo with people. Like, I don't know. And obviously they were kind of letting him, you know, of like he's gotten a little slower, but he's still, you know. Yeah.
Imagine you're in there and you just crack him across the face super hard. And like you and your entire family gets carted off to Siberia forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to, you know, I'm sure it's a great honor to spar with Putin in a dojo, but I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I
if I
don't
was-
think you'd ever want to be in the same room as him or the same city.
Yeah,
Like, he
I mean,
poses an actual existential threat to your existence. Like, why
Yeah.
would you ever want to be near? It's not like shaking the hand of the president, you know? It's not like, oh, take a picture.
I don't know though. Like booze is my motorcycle, the copious amounts of liquor I drink, those all pose existential threats to my being, and I choose to exist in the same
And I bet
room
you
or space.
enjoy drinking alcohol. But
Yeah, and I'd
that's
I
probably
would
very
enjoy
different.
meeting
conversation
Putin.
with Putin. So I don't know. You know,
I would enjoy watching this debate. Now, when do you think this debate's gonna happen?
never.
Never?
Though maybe I don't know. Maybe someone could like deep fake it. Biden's not going to debate Putin. That's retarded. Why would
Well,
he do
let's-
that?
Let's see what Putin has to say about this.
В долгий ящик. Я на выходные хочу съездить в тайгу, немножко там отдохнуть.
Oh, could do it
Нужно
tomorrow
было
or Monday.
Завтра или понедельник.
No.
Мы готовы
Ready at
любое
any time.
удобное для американцев
Right
самое
now.
время.
There's your
Прямо
time
сейчас нашего разговора
zone
20
question.
встречи.
Putin's willing to do it in Biden's most comfortable hours. Yeah, I'm sorry, but like Putin's just better. He's just smarter than Biden. Even on there's no legitimate reason for Biden to ever enter this space and actually have this debate in the first place.
What
It
are
would
the
also
consequences? Can you tell me what anyone gives a shit about any sort of debate between world leaders?
Are you kidding me?
It
Oh,
would
okay.
be
So
awesome, dude.
this
I
is
would pay money. I would pay money. A lot of money. I'd pay like a couple $100 to watch that.
So
dude.
you're actually kind of right though, Jake, in that like our leaders like meet and talk and kind of debate pretty often, but there's a big difference between like the presidential debates and like a Senate floor meeting. And honestly that has to do with like American like political football culture. Like we like debates. We like one versus the other, competitive debate setting, smack down.
Can you just tell me what the fuck actually matters about Putin and Biden live streaming? Who cares?
Dude, okay, so let me ask you this. Hey, have you ever watched two titans of the world just have an ideological clash? Like, have you ever seen like two large countries' leaders talk about anything other than going on camera and like shaking hands?
Nope.
Shaking hands for like
Don't think
10
that's ever
seconds and like
happened.
talking. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like an actual debate between leaders. This is something that promotes peace because we're not fighting each other. We're talking it out in the free marketplace of ideas, right?
Oh my god. Yep, you walk into a room, what's the sign on the door? Free marketplace. What's the sign on the other door? Not free marketplace. Oh, great.
I feel like
he has the
Putin's
intellectual edge, bro.
Okay, I do think he does, and I think that's pretty like obvious. Like, dude, like, come on, man. Putin's just more coherent than Biden. He's like all there. Like his speeches are
You
better.
realize Biden has a speech impediment, right?
Oh, you're running with it. That's such a cope. I'm sorry, but that's such a cope. He has a speech impediment. It's just, really flared up in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Wait,
he didn't have a speech impediment until he started running.
That's like saying Trump has a speech impediment when it's
that
like,
might be true though.
Oh, yeah, I watched these videos 20 years ago and he sounded so much more cogent. Well, he has a speech impediment now. He developed it after he got a vaccine. It's so weird.
Okay, so the idea of Biden being like mentally incompetent,
I think it's infirmed.
I think it's overblown, but I think it's pretty obvious that he's not
so
dude.
This is a person who makes more complicated decisions every single day than any of us do over the course of an entire lifetime.
I kind of agree with you, Jake. Like, I remember back when people would say this about Reagan, and that really steamed my clams. Like, what, you think just because he seems to be slipping a little bit that he has dementia or something? That's ridiculous.
Well, so he definitely did have dementia. Like, that's like a medical question.
Yeah.
Right? And so Biden probably doesn't have dementia because otherwise he wouldn't be president of the United States.
Yeah, like Reagan. Reagan didn't have dementia. That was just all liberal lies.
I wasn't alive when Reagan was president, so it's hard for me to give any sort of legitimate observation about what might have happened, but it's probably a bit different now.
No, it was 30 years ago, man. Come on.
Reagan was what, 50 years ago, dude?
I'm not really.
Reagan was president in the 80s. And regardless, dude, it's different if you're like already the president and you like slowly slip into dementia versus like you're campaigning and then you go and regardless, the question is simple. Do we think fucking Biden has dementia? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
maybe a little bit.
I actually think that pretty much any politician that makes it to being president is probably, well, except Obama because he was so young, but pretty much every other one of them. The problem with our politics is like you can't even like get onto the Senate or whatever till you're like, I don't know, old. And then you have to develop your reputation for years before you make your presidential run. And by the time these boomers are running for president, they're like, like 75 years old or some crap. And like 75-year-olds just aren't there as much as they were,
That's a trash political analysis because Obama didn't have to do that, and neither did Trump.
Trump is just as old as Biden. Trump's older than
but
Biden.
He didn't have to go to the Senate and like earn his way up. He just bought it. It was badass.
Okay, that is true. But
anyway, so this raging debate on Biden's Biden's physical liveliness.
We're
you know,
not
his
talking about his
influence.
sex life, okay? We're
No, no, no,
talking
no,
about whether he's
no, no,
like
no,
a
no.
I don't
functioning
want to talk
mental
about
human
children.
being.
So you want to see if he's a functional human being? I have just the video for you. Let's watch. So here's Biden walking. He looks at the stairs like a fat woman looks at stairs, just like, oh God, here we go.
You don't
He
need to
goes, he
make
goes.
body jokes in 2021.
Slip.
Dude.
Oh God.
To be fair, I've done
Man.
that 100 times.
Okay, but do you do it like that? Like slip and then get up and then slip and then double slip, triple slip.
I probably
Have
will.
you ever saluted as
Limps
the
inside.
fucking commander of the free
Okay,
world?
let's watch this one more
Yeah.
time. One more time.
Dude, I can't. So this is actually kind of funny because I was just watching. I don't know why. Okay, so I don't know why the press is allowed to watch them walk up these stairs because I was just watching a compilation of Trump's fuck ups going up the stairs. He never tripped and fell, but his like hairpiece blows like weird directions, and you can see his
Yeah.
like weird bald head. Or there was that one time where he had a piece of paper that might have been toilet paper stuck to his foot when he went up those stairs. I don't understand why they filmed this. Like,
That was a
it's
cum
like,
rag.
like whatever it is, like there's like I'm sure there's ones for Obama too. I don't understand like why they let them film them walking up those fucking stairs because they're just a generator for shit like this. Like I don't know. I'm not really convinced that that's a sign he's like like I think that looks like an average like even maybe better than he's like 76 years
Can
old.
you just think for a moment of the absurdity of what you're saying? That a
What?
person tripping on the stairs, that's a sign that they're mentally incompetent, right?
That's
Like,
not
how
what
many
I was
fucking
just
life
saying that
alert
wasn't
ads do you?
true.
Yeah, he does need life alert, huh?
Right,
Because like he trips the first time. Like most people, everyone stumbled up the stairs once, and then he starts falling the second time, and he can't get up, and he slips again hard on his knee. You see, he has to stop for a sec. He's like, ah,
That's what people do.
I don't.
No, I don't do that. No one I know does that. Like,
Then you're a fool.
No,
you
dude,
need to brace yourself. If you fell on the first 50 stairs and you've got 25 more to go, like you got to make sure you're ready.
I'm gonna give Biden the benefit of the doubt here. I've fallen doing some
Dude,
shit
what
like that,
the
and I'm
fuck
not
does the
75
benefit
years
of the
old.
doubt even mean in that context?
Well, there's a couple words that make up the term, but it has some historic, cultural meaning.
Obviously, he's got donkey brain and his fucking legs don't work no more, bro. That's
Right?
what I'm
Like,
trying to.
that's
what I'm trying
such
to
an
say.
absurd concept. Like,
How? Do you have a source? Source?
No, I don't think that's valid, and I don't really think that like Biden's like totally senile either. I just don't think he's like on the same like I just think Biden or Putin's smarter than Biden.
What
I think,
evidence do we have that suggests that either of them are anything other than completely average politicians?
Okay, I mean,
Putin's controlled his country with an iron fist for decades.
I think average politician is a bit of an odd statement in itself because like I don't know, politicians in general are exceptional, especially if you're going to end up being like the president shouldn't be an average politician. They should be the best one.
Okay, then the average president, who gives a shit? Like, what indication? Like, okay, Putin versus fucking Xi Jinping then. It's the battle of the authoritarian leaders. Who's smarter, right? Like,
I actually
cares?
don't. I'm actually not really sure.
Who
And no, it doesn't really matter. That's why we
cares?
don't live under a dictatorship. Like, I don't really think our presidents are. I mean, Jesus, our presidents are picked by the populace. But I mean, like, I generally think our presidents are pretty dumb. I don't think they're like the real power that goes on behind anything. But I don't know. That's me though. That's conspiracy.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a whole, like, you're right, because there's other parts of the US government that do stuff, but they're also the fucking president of the United States. So it doesn't make any sense to say that they're not.
Yeah, but like but realistically, like the merits that Biden became president on are he was Obama's
That he
vice
won't
president.
fucking destroy the world. That was the only merit that he needed.
Okay, I mean that's a really low merit in the first place, so we can.
He can literally just be the president and do whatever the president does.
None of the things that made him an appealing Democratic candidate have anything to do with like his intelligence, his like
But that's
anything
because
good about
intelligence,
him as a person.
you were saying this earlier, a minimum quantity of intelligence is assumed to be, that's just part of the fucking job description. If you're talking about healthcare and taxes and the government, in international policy, yeah, you kind of fucking want someone to understand what the hell they're dealing with. What is a
Okay,
tariff?
But
Think about it.
okay,
But
even
that is never a question that the president of the United States should ever ask. They should never ever have to ask, what is a tariff?
yeah, I mean, sure, and even if you're like,
that's actually kind of ableist, Jake, for you to say
Okay.
that. So Biden can have a stutter and that's fine, but if you go and you forget a word, all of a sudden you're mentally infirm and you can't be president. Like, I don't
I
think so,
already
buddy.
established an ableist judgment, dude. When I said that it was fucking bad that Reagan had Alzheimer's and couldn't fucking run the country, so Nancy Reagan used her horoscopes to run the country. Yeah, that's
what?
fucking bad. Do I give a shit if Franklin Delano
Wait,
Roosevelt is in a wheelchair? No.
wasn't the
But I
country?
do care if they don't understand what the fuck is
Jake,
going on.
Wait. That sounds like a very
Jake,
strong
settle.
argument for mysticism, though, because I feel like the country under Reagan was doing pretty damn good. So her horoscopes might actually. I mean, maybe we
Yep,
should.
that's clearly what that means.
I'm just proposing it. I don't know. I honestly think they do like more complicated horoscopes with the blood of children to figure out how we run the country. But like,
Yep, we should actually just switch our foreign policy. Fuck it. What's happening with Mars right now?
literally roll the dice. The dice like carved out of bones that are like attack, tariff, give money, foreign aid. Like we just roll them for each country every year.
I kind of like not knowing what a tariff is because it's like sometimes I don't know what stuff is. That's relatable, and I want a guy like me in the White House.
That's
Like,
true.
I know what a tariff is, but there's other stuff that like I feel like I
But you'd
should
rather
know,
have a job,
but then I don't.
right? You'd rather have a job than a relatable president, and
Well,
you'd rather not have
I
to
did have a
send.
job.
You'd rather not have to. If you're a military family, right? You'd rather have a parent that a president that understands what's going on in international politics, so that your kids don't get sent off to war, right? For no reason.
But we didn't go into any more wars.
If you're a person who has a family member with a pre-existing condition, right? You want the president to understand healthcare,
Yeah,
right?
but pre-existing condition that was
If
never
you're a person
stricken.
who has a family member who's in jail, you want your president to understand the criminal justice system.
no,
So
but
there's
He
all of these
pardoned more
requirements.
people than anyone. He
no,
pardoned so many people. He did a blanket pardon of a
I
lot of
actually
people.
don't want. I want a president who doesn't understand literally anything and
You
doesn't
don't have
doesn't agree with
time to
anyone.
train the president how to do their job.
No,
They're
I don't
there
want
for
to train him.
4 goddamn years.
I don't
And
really.
there's no training program. You
I
don't
don't.
get to on the job shadow as president.
I don't necessarily believe that like the president is a new institution, but my ideal president would be like I don't know, like some
An
like
impossible
30,
human.
40.
That's what you're about to describe.
No, it would be like a 30-year-old truck driver who just goes to the meetings drunk and says veto on everything.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that'd be pretty
that's not.
basic.
Yeah, okay. That's a possible human.
I actually
The
kind of
biggest, toughest guy to be president, just punch
Arm
people.
wrestling competition until you're president. That's the way. Every 4
Yeah.
years.
Okay, wait. I actually think that would be a better way of finding the president because, like, how you become the president now is you do politician things, which basically just involve being sneaky and lying to people and siphoning money off the public. So I unironically think that being the strongest and the best at beating people up is a better metric than just putting the sneakiest, slyest, evilest people with their big evil politician.
That's hilarious.
into
That is
office.
very hilarious.
Is it though? I don't think it's very fun.
Okay, so here's the example. Think of the coronavirus response, right? Think of all the different people who are making vaccines, who are doing science, right?
No, thank you.
And so how are we going to get all these vaccines to people when the vaccine doesn't even exist, right? So the
Well-
government can do things to solve problems.
Our government?
so-
I don't know.
So if you're Biden, right, and you've worked in government your whole life and you understand what options the government as an incredibly complicated institution, you understand what options you have, you are more able to actually make a productive use out of the institution we call the US government. And that lets you do things like create public support for increasing the production of vaccines beyond what would have happened otherwise. And so now,
Do you have a source for that?
I will. If you'd like, I'll link it.
I've got a lot of problems with this.
So what's
first,
the idea? That the government can do things. How do we know that? Because it's fucking done it before. That's why polio doesn't exist.
Let me ask you something though. So if you're the president, right? Let's say you don't know how exactly everything works, but you know how to be a leader. So wouldn't you just say, "Hey, you nerd who knows how all this shit works," and you have your team of consultants and advisors, right? And you say, "I want to do this." You assemble everybody needed to get this pushed through, get it done, or you're fired, right? That seems pretty efficient to me, man.
Because
yeah,
that's a great idea.
I don't know.
Think about how what you're describing is not irreconcilable with a person who fucking understands issues.
So
like
I don't
you
really...
can be an educated person who understands the functioning of government and then still be an effective leader and delegate.
No,
those are not mutually exclusive.
That's a conspiracy theory that people like that exist. That there's some all-powerful, all-knowing politician who's just ascended so far above that they know how to efficiently and effectively run government programs and not screw everyone over. Because what they do is they learn how to screw people over. That's how they spend their time learning and doing things in these institutions. They're not learning how to be better politicians for people. They're learning how to be better politicians to fuck you over more, to
This is a conspiracy
all
theory.
of your money. No, you're a QAnon conspiracy theory, Jake. This shit about, the government will just work for you and you will just elect leaders who work for us. That's a QAnon conspiracy theory, Jake. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Where's your source, Jake? Who's conspiracizing now? Jake? Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the goodwill from the government working for the good of its people, that's definitely conspiracy territory. But no, I mean, I think there's something to be talked about with, like, I don't trust their motives. I don't think politicians understand the motives of, like, the working class. I don't think they know how to actually help people.
Tuskegee was? Tuskegee?
It's time to wrap up, boys. It's time to wrap up.
Okay, so Tuskegee. If you don't know what it is, go Google it. And then you'll learn something about why people might mistrust the government.
Yeah, exactly, because they tried to apply vaccines to people and hurt them, just like they're doing now in 2020.
That's not what happened.
You've heard it here, folks. Grillcast 2021 breaking news. Tuskegee Experiment 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's what the COVID vaccine is.
The reason to be against the vaccine is because disease is nature's way of culling the weak, and we are fucking up that process.
So, okay,
we need to stop. We're ending the show. We're ending the show. Jakes, thank you for calling in. Mason, thanks for coming in. God, I'm having a hard time with words today. Do either of you have anything you'd like to plug?
Look up Tuskegee. Be a less ignorant person.
Oh, read the Red Rising series by some author. I never forget their names, but it's a pretty good sci-fi.
All right, so Jake endorses the Tuskegee experiments. Mason endorses the Red Riding Hood books or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
Red Riding Hood. Okay, got it. Peace out, my gorillas.
I'm old as a boomer. Mama said I'm zooming. Everything cooler long as I'm not Laura Lumen. If you think I'm not number one, I just spelled that rumor. Hit the victory royale on some motherfucking coochie. Default dance on a bitch. Hit the default dance on a bitch. Floss dance while I'm flossing in a whip. Victory royale when that chopper hit. Self-incrimination, I have no participation. News keep asking, I don't say shit. You can't have my conversation.